Hello everybody, and welcome to this video lesson about sketch relations. In previous video lessons, we have talked about the three rules when you start 3D modeling. The first rule was the golden rule, in which we mentioned that we have to take care about the shape, and then we apply some constraints to control the geometry. These constraints are actually nothing but sketch relations. And then finally we add the dimensions. And we have discussed this model. We consider this model. So we said first we roughly create the shape of the profile that we want to extrude, which is in this case the front view. Right, so roughly we sketch the shape, roughly we take care about the shape, and then we apply constraints in order to control the geometry. So we said in this step we apply different sketch relations like vertical here, horizontal, equal relation between this segment and this segment, perpendicular relation between this segment and this line, and so on. And then after that, we add dimensions to specify accurately the size of our part, our model. All right. So today I would like to go through in details about the sketch relations, how we use these sketch relations. Okay, let us start a new sketch. So as we mentioned in last video, we select the plane that we want to sketch on it, let's say front plane, and then immediately from this pop-up menu we click on sketch. So here we are. Now we are in the editing sketch mode, and editing sketch 1 message here is displayed on the status bar. So how do we know that we are in the sketching mode? As we mentioned last video, we know that we are in the sketching mode from this message here, editing sketch, and we can see the origin point displayed in red color in the center of the screen, and also from this confirmation corner, so in which we have two options. We have two icons: exit sketch, so we exit and save our work, and with this red X, we exit without saving what we have done inside this sketch. So sketch relations are the logical operations that are performed to add a relationship or constraint, such as tangent, perpendicular, between sketched entities, planes, axes, edges, or vertices. When adding relations, one entity can be a sketched entity, and the other entity can be also a sketch entity or an edge, face, vertex, origin, plane, and so on. There are two practices used in SolidWorks to create sketch relations: automatic relations and add relations. The dynamic sketching environment in SolidWorks can automatically apply sketch relations while sketching. This is done by SolidWorks predicting your intended geometry when you sketch. For example, when in edit sketch mode and attempting to create a horizontal or vertical line, simply sketch your line horizontally, vertically on screen, and you will notice a sketch relation will be given in a green indicator. So let us sketch a line, for example. Okay, we click to start, and then as you can see, when we are horizontal, we start to see this yellow icon, which indicates that a horizontal relation will be applied automatically to our line. And then if I draw a vertical line, normally when you are vertical, you will see this dotted line, and you will see this yellow icon, which indicates that now in this situation you will draw a vertical line. And when you click, okay, as you can see, a green icon now displayed to indicate that this line is forced to be a vertical line and this line is forced to be a horizontal line. And when you hover your mouse over this icon, over this horizontal or green icon, you will see that the line will be the line color will be changed to purple color, which means this relation is applied to this line. Now if I hover over this vertical relation, the vertical line color will become purple, which indicates that, okay, this relation has been applied to this line. The second method to add relation is the add relations manually. I can add relations manually. For example, if I have a line that is somehow at any orientation, okay, I can click on this line. Then from this menu, we have few options. I can make it vertical, I can make it horizontal, I can make it fixed, or I can add dimension to it. So I can apply, for example, horizontal relation, and immediately the line becomes now horizontal. Now I cannot change the orientation. I can change its location, but it is always horizontal. All right. So two methods to add the sketch relations: automatic relations, which is added by SolidWorks automatically, and manually. Okay, anytime we don't like this relation, simply we just select the relation and hit delete, and now the line is free to be at any orientation. I can make it at any orientation. There are 16 sketch relations in SolidWorks. Detailed description of each one will be presented in the following examples. All right, so I'm going to discuss the sketch relations, the 16 sketch relations, one by one in details. First of all, let me delete these two entities. In SolidWorks, in the editing sketch mode, to delete any entity, you simply make a window around and then hit delete. The first relation that we can use, we can apply to our entities, is the horizontal relation. Let's consider this line on the screen. If we click on this line, a pop-up menu will show up. From this pop-up menu, we can see that we can apply make horizontal, make vertical, and make fixed. Also, we have many operations we can do through this pop-up menu. For example, select other, construction geometry, make block, zoom to selection, replace entity, sketch numeric input, smart dimension, and exit sketch. All right, so I'm going to apply make horizontal. Immediately, the line becomes horizontal, and a green icon which indicates that the line now is horizontal. This can be also accomplished from this panel, from the line properties panel on the left side of the screen. So again, you can see here we can apply horizontal, vertical, and fix. All right, so what happened now? The line is forced to be horizontal. If you hover over this green icon, the line will be highlighted with purple color, which means that this line now is forced by this sketch relation. So I can change its size, we can change its location, but I cannot change the orientation of this line. We cannot make it inclined or vertical or whatever. It is always horizontal. Another application of this concept, if I have 2 points, for example, let us consider these 3 lines. All right. And now, as you can see, these 2 endpoints are independent of each other. There is no relationship between these 2 points, right? I can move it up and down, so there is no relation. All right, but if I press and hold Control key and select the 2 endpoints and then release the Control key, again, I will see this pop-up menu, and then I can apply make horizontal, for example. I can apply make horizontal. Now the 2 points are linked with this relation. So when I move 1 point, the other one will follow. Why? Because they have to satisfy this relation. If you hover over this horizontal relation, the 2 endpoints now are highlighted with purple color. Another example, if I have 2 circles, say for example, I have 1 circle here and another circle here. Now the 2 circles are independent of each other. So this circle is free to move and relocate anywhere on the screen. Same thing, this circle is independent of the other circle. So, but now if I press and hold Control key and select the center points, the 2 center points, and apply horizontal relation, now they are linked. So if I move 1 circle, the other circle will follow. Why? Because they have to satisfy this relation, this horizontal relation. The next sketch relation that I want to discuss is the vertical relation. So if we consider the line on the screen, if we click, again we will see this pop-up menu. So I'm going to apply make vertical. Now the line is forced to be vertical. I can change its size, I can change its location, but I cannot change its orientation. It is always forced to be vertical. If we have the following scenario, for example, I have these few lines. Then as you can see, some of the sketch relations have been applied automatically, and we talked about this. But now consider these 2 points, these 2 endpoints, this endpoints and this endpoints. Obviously, they are independent of each other. There is no link, there is no relationship between them. But if I press and hold Control key and select the 2 endpoints, and then once I release the Control key, the pop-up menu will show up, and then we can apply all these things. But I'm going to apply make vertical. As you can see, now the 2 points are aligned vertically. So when I drag 1 point, the other point will follow. Okay, they are always forced to be aligned vertically. Similarly, if I have 2 circles, say I have a circle here and another circle, let's say here. Okay, now there is no relation between the 2 circles. This circle is completely independent of this circle, right? But now I'm going to press and hold Control key and select the 2 center points and apply vertical relation. Remember, you can also apply the vertical relation from this panel, from the property, line property panel, so vertical. And as you can see, now the 2 center points are aligned vertically. So when I move 1 circle to here, the other one will follow. It's forced to follow. Why? Because it has to satisfy this vertical relation. Now let's consider the coincident relation. This relation can be used to force an endpoint of a line to be coincident or to join together to another line. So if I press and hold Control key and select the endpoint here and this line, once we release the Control key, as you can see, now we have few options here. One of them is make coincident. This option also available on the property panel. So make coincident. All right. So now this line, this endpoint is always coincident to the line or to the extension of this line. Okay. No matter what is the orientation of the other line or how big this line, this endpoint, this point is always coincident to this line. Similarly, I can make the endpoint of this line coincident to the circumference of this circle. So make coincident. Now, regardless of the size of the circle or the location of the circle, the endpoint of this line is always coincident to the circumference of this circle. Now, similarly, I can make the endpoint of this line coincident to the circumference of this arc. So make coincident. We can make this center point of this circle coincident to this line. Always, please, if you select more than one entity, you have to press and hold the control key and select the entities that you want to link them. So once you release the control key, this pop-up menu will show up, and then you can choose from this pop-up menu, make coincident. So now the center point of this circle is always coincident, is forced to be coincident to this line. Similarly, if I have a point, for example, I can make this point coincident to the circumference of this circle. Press and hold control key, select the point, select the circumference of the circle, and then make coincident. So this point now is coincident. And as you can see, when you hover your mouse over this sketch relation icon, the two entities, okay, that are affected by this relation will be highlighted with purple color. This point can be coincident to the circumference of the arc. Point coincident to a line. Okay, and so on. Very useful. Coincident is a very useful relationship, as we shall see when we start doing exercises. All right, the next relation is the tangent relation. This relation can be used to force the selected line segment, circle, arc, spline, or ellipse to be tangent to another circle, arc, spline, or ellipse. Let's consider the different cases on the screen. So I'm going to make this line tangent to this circle. Simply, I press and hold control key. We select the line and we select the circle. Once we release the control key, we have this pop-up menu. So we apply make tangent. And as you can see, a tangent icon, a green icon, is now displayed. And when you hover over this icon, this green icon, the line and the circumference of the circle will be highlighted with the purple color. Similarly, we can make the line tangent to this arc. All right, or a line also can be tangent to a spline. So make tangent. Circle tangent to an arc, or even circle tangent to another circle. We can also apply this tangent relation between line and ellipse. Tangent relation is also applicable between a circle and an ellipse. Then we can apply this relation also between circle and ellipse. Arc to arc. Arc is tangent to arc, and arc Okay, the next sketch relation that we would like to discuss is the concentric. This relation can be used to force two selected circles, arcs, a point and a circle, a point and an arc, or an arc and a circle to share the same center point. For example, we can force two eccentric circles to be concentric so that they share the same center. Simply, we press and hold Control key and we select the first circle, the second circle. Once we release the Control key, we have this pop-up menu from which I can select make concentric. And now, as you can see, they share the same center point. Similarly, we can apply this relation between an arc and a circle so that they will share the same center. Once you hover over this relation, they are highlighted. So the circle and the arc are highlighted, which indicates that they share the same center. We can apply this relation between two arcs. So arc to be concentric with another arc. Now they share the same center. A point and a circle can be also concentric, and so on. The next relation is the midpoint sketch relation. This relation is one of the most important constraints as it has many applications, especially when we need symmetry relation about certain point. It can be used to force a selected point to be placed on the midpoint of a line or arc. For example, you can force the center point of a circle to be at the midpoint of a line. So I'm going to press and hold Control key and select the center point of this circle, then select the line, and then release the Control key, and here, number 1 of the list, the midpoint relation. So make midpoint. All right. Now, if I change the length of the line, the center point is always in the midpoint, no matter how long, how big is this line. All right. Again, I can make the end point of this line at the midpoint of this line. So I can add make midpoint, and now it is exactly in the midpoint of this line. I can also apply midpoint relation between the end point of this line and this arc. So midpoint. All right, now equal relation. This relation can be used to force two segments of lines to become equal in length. So as shown on my screen, if I select the first line and the second line, once we release the Control key, we have this pop-up menu from which I can select make equal. Make equal. Note that we'll always adjust length or size in terms of lesser length or size unless dimension is specified. Similarly, this relation can be used to force two circles, two arcs, or an arc and a circle to have equal radii. So if I select this circle and this circle and apply equal relation, as you can see now they become equal. They have the same radius. Arc with arc also can be equal radius. Arc and circle. Okay, and so on. Now the next sketch relation is the symmetric relation. In certain design requirements, we need to force the selected entities to remain equidistant from a selected center line. In other words, to become symmetrical about center line. So for example, now the two circles are independent of each other. If I want to make them symmetric with respect to this center line, simply I select the first center point, press and hold Control key, select the second center point, and then select the center line. Once we release the Control key, we have this pop-up menu from which we can select Make Symmetric. So now the two circles are symmetric about this center line. So now when I move this circle to the right, the other circle will move in the opposite direction to the left, the same distance. So they are symmetric about the center line. Parallel sketch relation forces the selected line segment to be parallel to another selected segment. So if I select this line and this line and apply make parallel, the two lines now are parallel to each other. The parallel relation will always alter the sketched entity unless a dimension is specified. The other relation that I want to show you is the perpendicular. This relation forces selected line segment to be perpendicular to another selected segment. So if I select the line here and the other line and apply make perpendicular, now this line is perpendicular to this line, so 90 degrees angle. The next sketch relation is the merge relation. This relation can be used to merge 2 points of sketch entities, such as 2 endpoints of 2 line segments, 2 endpoints of 2 arcs, and 2 endpoints of arc and line segment. So if I select this endpoints and this endpoints, and then select merge points. Similarly, if I select the endpoints of this arc and the endpoints of this arc and merge points. Similarly, the endpoints of this line and the endpoints of this arc. Then we can say merge points. Okay, next I would like to discuss the collinear and corradial sketch relations. Collinear relation can be used to force 2 selected line segments to be placed in the same line. So for example, these 2 lines, I can make them collinear. So make collinear. While corradial relation can be applied to 2 circles, 2 arcs, or an arc and a circle to force them to become equiradius and also to share the same center point. So let's apply this to these 2 circles first. These 2 circles now make corradial. As you can see, now they are equal and they share the same center. These 2 arcs can also be corradial, like this. And this circle and this arc can be also corradial. The next relation is the intersection sketch relation. This relation forces a selected point to be placed at the intersection of 2 selected entities. So for example, if I select this endpoint and these 2 lines, once I release the control key, I can select from the pop-up menu, make intersection. The last sketch relation that can be used is the fix relation. This relation is used to fix the selected entity to a particular location with respect to the coordinate system. So for example, I can select this circle, then we can select make fixed. Notice that the color of the circle becomes black, which means it is fully defined, so you cannot move it anymore. Similarly, I can select this line, and we can make fixed. Alright, so that's all about the sketch relations. In the coming video lesson, I'm going to start some tutorial, some exercise, and let's see how to use all these sketch relations in order to get our sketch fully defined. Thanks for watching, and I will be talking to you very soon. Bye for now.